1944. The Allies are preparing to invade Europe, but they need to convince Hitler the real invasion is happening somewhere else. Enter the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, a top-secret unit nicknamed the Ghost Army. Their weapon wasn't bullets, it was illusion. This wasn't a normal army unit. It was made up of artists, sound engineers, actors, and designers recruited from art schools in New York and Philadelphia. Their job was simple but dangerous. Impersonate a massive Allied force right near the front lines to draw German troops away from the actual invasion points. The Ghost Army had three main methods of deception. The first was visual. They used inflatable tanks. From a distance or from the air, these rubber decoys looked exactly like the real thing, fooling German reconnaissance planes. They could set up a phony regiment of dummy tanks, trucks, and artillery pieces in just a few hours. But visual deception was only part of the story. They also used sonic deception. Sound engineers recorded the noises of real tanks moving, bridge building, and troops assembling onto massive 16-inch records. They mounted powerful speakers on the back of trucks and played these sounds at night, audible 4 miles, to convince the Germans a huge force was moving in. The sound deceptions were incredibly effective, sometimes convincing German commanders that entire armored divisions were assembling in the darkness. The third method was radio deception, or spoof radio. Radio operators created fake networks, sending Morse code messages that mimicked the traffic of actual units, leading German intelligence on a wild goose chase. They had to be extremely convincing, even mimicking the unique fist or typing style of specific Allied radio operators. The Ghost Army was a complete traveling roadshow, moving around France, following the front lines, often operating completely exposed and in danger. They would arrive in a location recently vacated by a real division and immediately start creating the illusion that the division was still there. They wore the fake shoulder patches of other units and even painted phony divisional insignia on their trucks and helmets. The special effects soldiers even bar-hopped in nearby towns, spreading phony stories they knew would get back to German spies. It was an operations-level con game designed to create confusion, hesitation, and miscalculation within the German High Command. One of their most successful operations was Patton in September 1944. General Patton needed to cover a 75-mile gap in his front line while he moved his actual tanks. The Ghost Army moved in, set up hundreds of inflatable tanks, and played the sounds of a massive armored assembly right where Patton wasn't. German intelligence fell for the ruse completely, believing Patton was preparing a major attack at Bettemborg and moving their divisions to counter the fake threat. By the time the Germans realized the truth, Patton's real army had arrived elsewhere, completely bypassing the defense they had prepared. The Ghost Army operated across France, Belgium, and eventually into Germany itself, always operating in secret. They faced real danger. Several members were wounded, and 3 soldiers were killed by German artillery fire during an operation in March 1945. When the war ended, their story was immediately classified, and the soldiers were sworn to secrecy for decades. They couldn't even tell their families or friends how they had spent the war, or that they had saved countless lives using art. For 50 years, the story of the Ghost Army remained one of World War II's most closely guarded secrets. The unit's existence wasn't officially declassified until 1996, and the veterans were finally allowed to share their remarkable story. Filmmaker Rick Bayer became fascinated by the story and dedicated years to documenting the history and interviewing the surviving veterans. Thanks to their efforts, the story of the secret soldiers who used creativity to fight fascism is finally being told. The Ghost Army is a testament to the power of unconventional thinking in warfare and the strategic value of deception. Today, we remember the artists, sound designers, and soldiers who used their creativity to change the course of history without firing a shot.